Hello, I'm Joanne Bester and welcome back to another episode in our Regen series. Today we'll continue our discussion with David McEwen about how we can implement this practically on our farms. David, Roland often speaks about the 4 inches between your ears, and I'm curious as to what goes into planning and getting ready to do this. I'm assuming it's not something that you just pack up and get your fences and off you go.
No, well, I think we should maybe start at the beginning. You know, one really needs to get a good understanding of how the whole ecosystem works. I think very few farmers know what's happening in the soil, and it's very important to get an understanding. You know, you want to produce healthy plants, so to get healthy plants, you know, you need healthy soil, and to really do one's research and get a better understanding of what's happening in the soil with the root exudates which feed the microbes in the soil, which internally which creates humus, which feeds the plant to create a healthy plant and therefore create healthy animals. I mean, that's basically what one's trying to achieve, and in the process you're regenerating the soil. So in other words, when I come back the next time with this lot of cattle, these camps should be in better condition.
So to break down that effect of needing to know and understand what's happening in your soil, you also need to go and sit down, consider what you are trying to achieve in a specific area, looking at the soil, what you want to improve, and then do your planning accordingly. Am I correct?
Yes, that is correct. You obviously, on areas where you've got a hard pan, where you've got a crust on the soil, you really want to get those animals together in a smaller space to break up the capping of that soil. So that comes into the planning, definitely. I sometimes go to 2 moves a day, depending on the areas. So that just getting that higher stock density makes quite a big difference on one's planning. But at the end of the day, you know, we still need to make money, so you've got to make sure your stocks stay in good condition. So depending on where you are with your sheep or your cows, you know, if you've got cows with calves, you can't put too much pressure on them, because then they start losing condition and you lose in performance.
So on the note of what we're doing in the soil and what we're trying to accomplish, you've just grazed this piece, and we're going to have a closer look at what has happened there to try and get the mineral cycle and the carbon cycle going again, because it was a bit stuck. Now, from an aerial footage, it looks quite bad when you come out of here because there's been so many animals on, but we want that to happen. Could you explain to us why we want that to happen?
Well, I think you want to take off all the old material, you know, so that you've got that fresh growth coming through. That's the reason for taking it off. And if you talk of a leaf to stem ratio, you want more leaves and less stems, and that also promotes the better leaf, obviously higher quality of grazing.
So if we take a closer look at what is happening on the soil and what's happening in the ground, could you explain to us the hoof action and how it breaks up the soil?
Yeah, Jane, look, if we have a look at this area where the stock have been in, you can see how nice and loose the soil is. So when we get rain, which will hopefully be soon, the water can actually infiltrate into the soil. That makes a massive difference. It makes a nice good seed bed for new plants wanting to germinate. And if you look across here at the areas that they're still going into, there's quite a bit of capping on the top here. I mean, if you get a raindrop onto that water is just going to run off. So that's the effect that you're trying to get with the hoof action.
So if we look at the carbon cycle and how Roland talks about the carbon block that happens, this grass over here, just because we're having a bit of a dry season, it's quite dry, and as soon as the frost hits, it's going to lie there, it's going to lose a lot of nutritional value, and it's going to stay on top of the soil. But the hoof action of the animals gets it back into the soil. Could you explain a bit?
Yeah, I think that if you look at the dry grass, it needs to be grazed off. As you can see, it's been grazed off quite nicely here, just to get rid of that dead material. So what happens is you want your grass to be grazed when it is fully matured, when it's had enough time to replenish its roots. And the most important thing of a plant is having a good, healthy root system. That's where to get your roots down to the bottom, to get bring the moisture up, and also to create healthy soil, you need roots. The roots excrete fatty acids called root exudates, which the microbes in the soil live off. So it's vitally important that you have very strong and healthy roots, and to give your plant like this will have a complete growing season to regrow and recover. So before that, the animals come back and graze the area.
Yes, and so the interaction between the microbes and the plants and the animals are all vitally important.
Very important. As much as the animals need the grass need the animals.
So obviously the other thing that happens when you have a lot of animals in an area is you have the dung patches that form. And this supports an ecosystem all on its own, which is essential to stimulating the whole ecosystem that we see above ground. Could you explain?
Yes, I think it's vitally important. You know, you're obviously getting a lot of dung in the area, which is putting a lot of nutrients back into the soil. And then if you're seeing dung beetles on your farm, it's a very good sign. You need the dung beetles to come work these dung pads, and they actually work the dung back into the soil, just to create that nutrient cycle, you know, getting the soil healthy again.